Okay, hello everybody. Let's turn that epidemic down. I give you about 45 seconds of a header on this little broadcast. I had an internet connection issue today, which basically kept me on the sidelines until about 10:40 a.m. Yep. So, where is Jimmy? There he is. Okay, what time is it? You can look at the clock right there. In case you don't know, according to the National Bureau of Standards, it's 10:40 and 45 seconds. 47, 48, 49. So in 8 seconds, it's going to be 10:41. In 5 seconds, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bingo. 10:41. You can set your clocks. This clock down here, there he goes, is 6 seconds slow. I don't understand why, but it's not connected up. You know, the Apple system has got all kinds of, satellite connectivity. I mean, when they made their Apple Watches, they went totally bipsic on making sure that they had the correct time. And of course, according to FCC, the Federal Communications Standards, your network, the network where you get your TV and the network that you get your internet, that has to be connected. Not connected, but it has to be updated periodically, also from the National Bureau of Standards. Yeah, there's a government department called NIST, N-I-S-T, and that acronym stands for. Well, let's find out, because N-I-S-T. G-O-B. That's got to be a website, right? I have my daughter's first husband. She's cranked through 2 of them, I'm sorry to say. I hate to use it that way, but anyway. She was married to John Paul Jones, the second, or the third. I think the third, maybe. And I considered him the world's best son-in-law you could possibly have. Yep. Anyway, so I was talking about NIST, right? There it is. I'm going to do a print screen on this little guy because I do not want to forget it. Because NIST.gov. And you can see everything that they do. The important thing is, it stands for the National Institute of Standards and Technology. It's part of the Department of Commerce. Yeah. Well, the Department of Commerce just got a new guy in there, right? And now John Paul Jones has been in with NIST, for quite a while. There's a lot of things that, what do we do? Let's click the what do we do. Advanced communications, artificial intelligence, bioscience, buildings, construction, chemistry, cybersecurity. Oh, that's a big one. Electronics, energy, environment. I mean, look at this. Holy miracle. Metrology. Nanotechnology. Anyway, it's a science thing. And John Paul Jones has been in the government for quite some time. And he's been in NIST for quite some time. So he's, I'm sure, I know John Paul Jones, and he's a serious person. He's not talking. Let's hit the cybersecurity button here. And there you go. NIST develops cybersecurity standards, guidelines, best practices, and other resources to meet the needs of U.S. industry, federal agencies, and broader public. Our activities range from, you can see it right there, from producing specific information that organizations can put into practice immediately to longer-term research. Anyway, since Trump is on this bandwagon to reduce the size of government, there were, the entire employee base of NIST apparently got letters inviting them to retire. This is not I don't think NIST is something that you just get rid of, like the Department of Education. This is like, the National Institute of Science and Technology. I would think, for example, the Office Management, the OMB, the Office of Management and Budget, mandates that all federal agencies implement NIST's cybersecurity standards and guidelines for non-national security systems. Yeah. The cybersecurity is a big business, and NIST is obviously up to their elbows in dealing with that. Let's see what this website looks like. So this is what it looks like without the reader assistant. There you go. All right. I know John Paul. They travel all over the place and meet with different entities, all over the country that have, shows. This is big. Yeah, this is big business. I'll have to text John Paul and find out, what he's planning to do with all his stuff with NIST. Is he gonna, resign from NIST and take the package and go find something else to do? The good people are always offered opportunities in private industry, like law firms. In theory, could hire someone like him to help coordinate, cybersecurity with a certain law firm and the law firm's clients. John Paul Jones is an impressive character. He's a serious, young man in his early, mid-50s. He's not a kid. But I'm going to text him and find out what's going on with John Paul Jones. I'm trying to Robin had this spot taken off her arm, as a outpatient surgery thing where they, that apparently they did a biopsy on it, took a little snip of it, sent it off to the laboratory, and the results came back. Get your butt in here. We're going to take this thing off because this is the kind of thing, if we don't take it off, you're not going to see Easter. You have to do your family planning. I had one of those right in the middle of my neck. And Dr. Strasser told me, if we don't take this thing off right away, you will not see Thanksgiving. This was like in May, so in 6 months you're dead duck. So it was a non-metastasized let's see what they call it. They called it something really nasty. Not melanoma. It was something that even sounded worse than that. Yes, sir. But it was a little tiny dot, right in there. I went to the Strasser's office. I go there, every 9 months or so. And you look at your spots on your body. You look in the mirror and this and that. And I said, what if this little spot was on the back of my butt? This thing would be growing, and and who the hell looks at? I can't even see the back of my butt. He says, well, have Marilyn look at the back of your butt. That's oh, crap. Anyway, so I still haven't had anyone examine the back of my butt. I figured I sit on my butt, it's not going to be subject to, the sunlight, so to speak. I'm not one of these guys that lays on a towel. No, I don't do that. I'm always sitting on a chaise lounge or something or other. I was a lifeguard for a number of years, so in my early days. So even then you're sitting on your butt. You walk around the pool, whatever. I was like head lifeguard at Country Estates, the common area of Country Estates. It sounds like a nice little place on the North Shore of Long Island. It was. They were all multi-million-dollar homes, 50 years ago. So what would it be? I mean, how expensive can a house get? Well, they can get up there. So it's probably 20, 30, 40 million dollar houses up there in Country Estates. Well, they all had a common area down there in this big pool, and they had, I was the head lifeguard. I had like 4 or 5 other lifeguards. On a busy day, on a busy weekend, the pool gets filled up with all these little screaming kids and parents, and they're bouncing up and down in the pool and this and that. So I'd have 2 lifeguards up in the swimming pool. We had 2 lifeguard stands where you climb up this thing, and you're about 10 feet off the ground, sitting there watching these kids from above. And then I'd have a whistle, and I'd be walking around the pool, when I'd see a little kid running. You're not allowed to run around the pool, right? So I said, you can walk fast, but you can't run. Yeah. Look at this picture. Look at this picture. This is 1300 Pennsylvania Avenue. Now remember, the White House is 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. So this is, would that be 3 blocks away from the White House? So this is a big federal building. So you see U.S. Customs and Border Protection. That's down here in the lower part of that, behind the Israeli confirms Hamas and and above there, they got black tape on it, which is probably let's do this again. Anyway, they used big black packing tape, and they wiped out the USA let's see what they call it. You can see flipboard. You see in the top left corner is a symbol that looks like an F. Well, because the application is called Flipboard. And if you don't know what Flipboard is, you need to learn about Flipboard because it is a magical device in our electronic age of news, and oh, there it is. Yeah, that's what makes sense. It had a message about Hamas. it was apparently phasing out into the next. Yeah, so there you go. U.S. Customs and Border Security. So USAID is apparently what was underneath there. Oh, God. So instead of making the new sign, they just used a little black packing tape and just crossed out USAID. And according to the latest information, which went out as a blanket email to all these people, because they literally just shut it down. USAID workers will be allowed to enter 1300 Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest, and they'll be given exactly 15 minutes to clear their workspace and put all their personal belongings in a box, and then get the hell out. As they're totally dismantling this agency. It was apparently a Democratic, slush fund where they could throw money all over the world, and the agents of USAID would enjoy the benefits of handing out billions of dollars. Really, do we need to send, $50 million worth of prophylactics to, Bangladesh? I don't think so. They can buy their own condoms, for God's sakes. They weren't sending it there. I was using a stage name. USAID will begin 15 minutes to get the hell out of here. Let's see, let's send a message to me. There it is. Oh, I have to find JAMESWILSON. I'm showing you a feature of, no, that ain't right. Let's try Jem. Where's Jimmy? That's my... I'll be darned. Live television, folks. I see my email address, but I don't see my phone number. Okay. We'll just, I'll type in my phone number. 561-416-1100. There he is. I'll be darned. I'll have to check into why my address book doesn't have my phone number right. But anyway, so I'm going to send it to myself. So what that means is, if you don't want to search through all the Flipboard articles to get what you're looking for, you can just send yourself, a text message, and there it is. USAID workers pay mournful visit. Final visit to the agency. Oh yeah, there's a picture. Oh my God, that's terrible. When you're... Let's do the rear view. There's no photos on rear view. Okay. So this is actually the website. And here's a picture of the USAID workers taking all their... Hopefully they're just taking their... Done. Don't take this. want to make this up. There we go. So there's some USAID workers that have packed up their personal stuff from USAID. I'm cropping it. There we go. Now we got a full screen image. Now I'm going to save it to photos. And there's a little carrot here, so apparently there are more photos. Let's go to the next one. Yep, so, all these. Anyway, so that's Flipboard. I'll explain it quickly because I've done it before. You see down the bottom right of the picture, Flipboard. So what do? You go to the App Store. So I'm gonna type in here APP. There's App Store. Not the Apple Store, the App Store. So it's the second one. It's the big A with a solid blue background. The Apple Store is where you'd buy a laptop or something rather. The App Store is where you get software for your iPads, iPhones, and MacBooks. So I'm gonna, in the very top, you can see Today, Games, Apps, Arcade, and then there's a little magnifying glass. You touch that one because that's your search, and then you touch Games. You touch the search area. My iPad is touch screen. There we go. So I'm going to type in there Flipboard. Flipboard. And I'm going to look for, there we go. So the second one over is this right here. I'm not going to open it because I've already got it open. I just want to show you how to get it. You see? Now you see Flipboard, and they got some graphics. What's new? As 2 weeks ago, the app was updated. This iPad was automatically updated itself. So what's new? The 2 weeks ago, Flipboard was updated. Follow people posted on threads. Mastodon and other Fediverse services. Yeah. Use search to discover Fediverse accounts that now can be followed on Flipboard. See all accounts you follow. Anyway, so editor's choice, I can tell you. The general manager of a restaurant out in Phoenix, Arizona, who knows me because he used to be in Boca, and I recommended him for, a job. He was in one job. He basically is a troubleshooter and a fixer, or he'll open up a restaurant. He'll help open up a restaurant for a new restaurateur. Yeah. So go beyond the headline. This is all the stuff and people's reviews. To me, it's totally 5-star. Yeah. So what it does. So I'm going to keep it simple. Let's say, so you got two piles of, you got a pile of periodicals that you look at. You look at the New York Times. You look at the newspaper. You look at the, the Wall Street Journal. You look at, crime scene. You look at some trade magazines. So you list, in this hand, you have all the publications that you look at over a month. Okay? You list them. They're all listed in Flipboard, and you just put a little check mark on all the different publications that you'd like to that you like to look at over a period of a month. Some, you have to buy subscriptions to get, because you only see them on the newsstand, like when you're traveling through an airport, So that's what's in this hand. And then what's in this hand is what kind of stories do you want to look at when you look at any one of these big publications? Well, I want to read national news. I want international news. I want USA politics. I was trained as a biochemist, so, biology, physics, rockets, SpaceX, the Apple company, the IBM company. So you list, the 20 or 30 different subject matters of interest. Like if you were paging through a newspaper, and you knock on that story right there, you look at that story right up there. And why was that? Because the New York Times was writing about, how much gold is in Fort Knox, because the Doge people, they want to do an audit of Fort Knox, and they want to just see, is the gold really there? Oh boy, all these gold bars, thousands of tons of gold bars locked in a locker underneath the ground. Fort Knox's, building there, and then you go downstairs, so to speak, into several lower layers, and that's where, the vaulting of the gold, and Great Britain has a vault, and China has a vault. There's a number of, Germany has a vault, Japan has a cage. It's like a caged area inside, a very secure vault in Fort Knox, right? Well, a lot of foreign countries store some or all of their gold at Fort Knox. And there are other installations in the United States that stores gold. So that's it. I just gave you a very simple story. So you have New York Times and you have political news. You have romance news, whatever. So you list all the different kinds of things you're interested in. Now I just listed one publication and one area of interest, and boom, here you get, it shows up in Flipboard. But if you put a whole bunch of publications in there, and all the different kinds of stories you want to read, it goes through and mashes, the 1,000 different combinations that comes out of, all the publications you like to look at, and these are all the subject areas that I want to read about. It brings them together and produces Flipboard. So, right when that green button where it says open, if you don't have it, it would say, get, I think, because you want to get it. And then if you hit get, then it will download it, into your iPad or your iPhone. This is, Flipboard is a very graphics-oriented. See, here's the price of eggs. So they have what's in Trump's $1 billion plan to bring egg prices down. Yeah, well, stop killing the chickens. You got to get finished up with this chicken flu or whatever was going around diseasing our chickens. And that's one of the reasons why egg prices are crazy, because they had to get rid of a bunch of chickens that caught a cold. Yeah. Some kind of bird flu thing that spreads around. And of course, you don't want the cattle to get it, because then you got to get rid of all the cattle. So here's a picture of a department that has a bunch of eggs. We don't eat a lot of eggs now. So you can see, when you get Flipboard, when you open it up, it goes through this slideshow of like every 5 seconds. You've got something that you may be interested in reading about. Transgender troops must serve using their birth gender. Yes, sir. You can't call yourself something else because you decided to. I think I'm going to be a girl today. I'm being a little bit of a wise guy. It's a little more complicated than that. When a boy decides he wants to be a girl, when they get 27 or so, that's when all these tendencies, hit a peak or a climax, pardon the expression. So the Pentagon is cracking down on all this transgender stuff. At Trump's, suggestion, a rather strong suggestion. We're not funding any transgender operations for inmates in prisons. The Biden administration, they'd be doing it. Trump, no. You're on your own, buddy. You're going to be a boy as long as, you're in this prison. So we're going to save billions and billions of dollars because Elon Musk is digging out all this stuff. A chilling twist. Oh, crap. What's that? So now we're going to have to go flip. So then, all right. So you can see the slideshow. Whoops. Chilling twist in Gene Hackman and his wife's deaths revealed. Holy crap, what would that be? So now if you want to read stories, you see where it says flip over there? So you flip it over, and then you touch the top here. So then, all these categories show up here, and you got several pages of the top, 75 types of information you want to read about. But if you hit the top left corner, that takes you to, all the stories with the headlines, showing the pictures, and you can just page through this and decide which story you want to read. Transgender troops must serve using their birth gender, according to the Pentagon. So USA Today wrote this story, as you can see, on the right side of this. So I'm going to touch on it because an iPad is touchscreen, and I'm not going to subscribe. And I want the reader view. Yes, okay. So there it is. So you can read that story. Washington Pentagon releases a new policy. You gotta be, if it says boy, that's what you're gonna be. There's no transgender or anything in the military, period. According to Pete Hegseth, the new, what do you call it? The Secretary of Defense. They abbreviate that SecDev. The Secretary of Defense, Peter Hegseth. SecDev Hegseth. That's a mouthful, huh? SecDev Hegseth says, if it says M on your birth certificate, you are a boy as far as anything military is concerned. And if you don't like it, you may turn in your commission and go home and do something else. You won't be in the service because we're not honoring any of this, transgender stuff in the military. Trump banned transgender service during his first term. And they're all kinds of Supreme Court stuff. And, that's a pretty tricky topic. Yeah. It's tough enough having women in the military. I mean, not that they're not capable, but, you get boys and girls and, are they going to be in the same, barracks together? They have to have separate barracks. You got to have a separate bathroom. It gets complicated. So, they'd rather just have a bunch of boys, so that way they won't be, following all the girls around, getting them pregnant or whatever. But that's not the way our military is. We have boys and girls. Israel has boys and girls. Everybody in Israel is required to spend at least 2 years in the military. I think it's 2 years. I mean, right out of high school, wham, you're in the military, period. Do not pass go and do not collect $200. You're in the military. And then after that, you can go to, high school and, further training and so forth. Yeah. But you have to serve your country. Yes, sir, Bob. So here's all your stories. Best telescopes for beginners. So, that's the science topic. Popular Science is one of the, magazines that I would normally be subscribed to, but, I don't get a bunch of magazines, and I don't get any newspapers anymore because I've got Flipboard, which, it brings in, see this article right here, that's Popular Science. This story up here is electric. That's a social network channel. Electric. Travel magazines. Why we love Arizona. So someone wrote an article about that. So on this one page, we got CNN, Popular Science, Electric, and travel magazines, all on the one page, talking about, different topics. Tesla is hit with fresh class action suit, about the self-driving. I knew that was going to happen. People have paid for this self-driving software. A friend of mine paid $6,000. Now it's like $8,000, I think. It was 10, it was 15, they dropped it to, I think, to 8. $8,000, and you get, the self-driving software, download, which, loads up into the computer in the car. And then you just type in the address of where you want to go, and the car takes you there. You don't have to, it's called full self-driving supervised, which means you got to keep the hand on the wheel, even though it's going to keep you in the middle of the lanes and all that, so you can feel the wheel turning, so to speak. So you allow that to happen. If you, turn it with a little more strength, it'll break loose of the full self-driving control of the steering wheel entirely, and then you steer the car as you would normally steer a car. So if the full self-driving software, was heading you directly for a tree, you could take control and, tug on the steering wheel a little bit, and it would break loose of the software so that you have full control of the steering. But anyway, it's been in beta form, so that instead of calling it beta, they called it a different name, supervised, which means you got to keep. And if you read the user notes of the software package, it says you got to watch out for everything all the time. You can. It's really not full self-driving yet, but it used to be called beta. Well, it's not called beta anymore. It's called supervised. So, Well, someone who paid $8,000 4 years ago for a software package that, including today, doesn't work the way they sold it. Now there's a class action suit. Here we go. That's what this story's about. I was just giving you a little, heads up on what's going on here. So Tesla hit with a fresh class action suit about its full self-driving claims, with a hardware 3 computer. And that's what my friend has, a hardware 3 computer. And Tesla said, this computer is, because it used to be hardware version 2. Okay, and then, about 4 years ago, that's a guess, at least 4 years ago, maybe even longer, because I've been driving Tesla for 4 years, and hardware version 3 was active, 4 years ago. I think it just started. We got, March, April, May, June. So in the second quarter of 4 years ago is when we got our first Tesla, and we got our second one March 18th, actually, which is, it's coming up on almost a year ago. Wow, time flies. So, the people that are getting, I knew it, people are getting cranky about this, goddammit. And there's, pardon the expression, and there's a class action suit. And this could be like global. I mean, this could have huge, I don't know whether they'll take international signups. It looks like this is an Australia law firm. JGA Satter organized a class action suit in federal court. This is the federal court of Australia. Oh my God, word around this gets, and there's going to be class action suits all over the in the United States, where there's a whole lot of Teslas. But it's so now now I have a new Tesla we got in March, okay, and it's hardware version 4, which is like the computer is like 100 times faster, more capable than hardware version 3. And it's like 40 times faster than the fastest, MacBook that you can buy. I mean, it's a very powerful computer, that sits behind this, behind inside your dashboard, behind the screen. Because, you got this big screen in the middle of the car, which shows you all kinds of stuff. Your direction and your this and your that and your miles per hour and, But even with so they came out with a new version of the software, which is like version 13, which is supposedly really getting close to, maybe version 14 is going to be, when it's released in Florida, is going to be full self-driving without the word supervised on there. Which says you can watch out the window if you want, you can read a book if you want, you can take a nap if you want, because the car is going to take you to your destination without you having to press a pedal, a brake, or whatever. And we know this is coming soon because in June, Tesla has announced that their robo-taxi is going to come out in June, which is basically a 2-seated car with gull-wing type doors. You may have seen it when they announced it a couple months ago. And in June of this year, which is March, April, May, it's like 95 days from now, they're going to come out they're going to release, for sale, RoboCab or RoboTaxi, which is going to be full self-driving software in Texas and California. Okay, those are the 2 states that have pre-approved the full self-driving software. And of course, they have, departments of transportations in these states. They're sophisticated states. So, and Florida will be right behind it. They may not, I don't know. They may not have asked Florida yet. Since this is the first release of the software in a vehicle. The vehicle doesn't even have a steering wheel or a brake pedal or an accelerator pedal. You just sit, it's got a front seat that goes across, and you got, a thing where you can put your cocktails, your sodas and iced teas and so forth. It's got a big trunk, here. Excuse me a minute. There we go, I'm back. I had a little something stuck in my throat here. Anyway, the RoboCab has a big trunk, where you can put golf clubs and bags if you were like going. And, so individuals can own it. Companies can buy it. Companies can buy, let's say some company in Boca Raton decides to buy 10 RoboCabs. They have a place where you can park the 10 RoboCabs. And then if you want a RoboCab, you go right on your iPhone and hit the icon for RoboCab, which they're not available yet. And it's just like Uber, where you call for an Uber ride. Well, you're going to call for UberCab instead. And you don't even have an Uber driver. You're in the car by yourself, and the software takes you. You want to go to the airport? It'll take you to the airport. And it will bill your account, $35 or whatever the charge will be to take you to the airport. I think Uber is like $50, for the ride to the Fort Lauderdale Airport from here, which is like 22 miles away. Same thing, West Palm Beach Airport, it's about 22 miles away. It is exactly between the two major airports. And the Uber ride is about $50. Well, maybe the RoboCab will be $35 instead of $50, because you don't have a driver. You don't have to pay the driver a fee ski. And they've done surveys, and they found out, from Uber and, companies like it, 92% of the time when a cab is called or an Uber is called for, ride service, 92% of the time it's two people or less that get in the car to wherever the destination is going to be. Now you're going to miss 8% of the business, because if 92% is two people or less, then 8% is more than two people. So those people are not going to be able to call, a Tesla RoboCab. So if you got a party of three that are going to go to the airport, you're not going to go in a RoboCab, because it won't take three, it'll only take two. You'll have to use another riding service for your party of three to get to the airport or to get to anywhere. But RoboCab it'll take you anywhere, And it probably has either, maybe it has hardware package 5, which is even a little more capacity on the computer side. And it may have, I know it has a camera right in front of the license tag. It's got 2 or 3 cameras in the top by your rear view mirror thingy. There are two or three different cameras up there, 5 megapixel cameras. And then they have a camera right low, where right above the license tag. And of course, they have a rear view camera right near the license tag, looking behind you. And then you've got 2 cameras on the sides. So there's a total of 8 cameras surrounding the car, inside the car, looking out to make sure the car doesn't drive into something. But, self-driving is just here. It's like 2 or 3 months away. Yeah. But a lot of people, 20, something like 15 or 20% of the people that bought Tesla cars bought this expensive software package, which to date is still not full self-driving. It's supervised. Well, they didn't pay $8,000 or $6,000, or as time went on, they kept increasing the price of it. But it's still not capable of taking it. They still call it full self-driving supervised, and they have not taken that supervised moniker off there. Several months ago, it was full self-driving beta. Well, it's still beta. They've changed the word from supervised, from beta to supervised to make it sound a little better. I guess there is some, development. There has been development improvements along the way, but it's still not, operating, the way I paid for it, so to speak. No, it's not me. I didn't. You can rent. You can use. The word is you can subscribe to the full self-driving software package, albeit still supervised. You can, for $100 a month. It used to be $200 a month, and there were no takers. That's too much money for something that's not even working yet. But you can get it. You can try it out for $100 a month. So if you're driving, you got a couple of trips where you're going to Orlando, you're going to Disney, or you're going to Tampa, or you're going to Fort Myers. We live in Boca Raton. All those destinations are somewhere between 150 to 300 miles away. Or a trip to Jacksonville, or a trip to, Atlanta, where you're going to be on I-75 or the Turnpike. As you travel through the state, you take the Turnpike to 75 at Wildwood, and then you keep on going up 75 to get to Atlanta, right? Well, that's a 14-hour, 13-hour drive from here, okay? Well, the full self-driving software supervised will it may not take you to the exact address if you put it in there, but if you just do the autopilot, which is like the full self-driving autopilot, if you will, albeit supervised, it'll keep you, it is really good at keeping you between the lines. And that's a stressful thing, to have constantly make sure you're between the lines, and you slow up and you speed down because speed up because you have a car in front of you and they're slowing down, and the full self-driving will actually put the signals on. If you want to go faster, you have control, so you can have and it'll pass the car. It'll go around the car in front of you so that you can ride at 70 miles an hour, even though this character is driving at 55 miles an hour. So the software, from that standpoint, works fine. Now, whether it's going to actually take you to your, it still says supervised, but even though it's supervised, it will keep you between the lines, and you don't have to. All you got to do is keep an eye out, what's going on, with your looking through the windshield. Because if you're just cruising up there, it'll pass the car in front of you. So if it's too slow for you, but if it's it's going 70 miles an hour, but every once in a while it'll slow down. Well, you'll slow down also. You're not going to crash into the back of the car because the autopilot will slow your speed down so that you're not going to. And then when it speeds up, you'll speed up. There we go. And had a little cough. I'm catching a little cold, I guess. I better start taking some Sudafed. Anyway, there's a big class action suit going on in Australia. And the lawsuit comes after CEO Elon Musk finally recently admitted that its hardware version 3 self-driving computer, which is something, everybody that has the Tesla that they bought prior to, 2020, roughly, Elon admitted that the hardware version 3 will not be able to, work on an unsupervised basis. So all these people that paid all this money, they're up the creek because they never got what they paid for. And Elon Musk has admitted it, on a number of different broadcasts that he's had about the FSD package. They got a building full of people that have done nothing but code, work on the codes to try and get this software to operate properly. With the neural networks and all these different vocabulary words, which I don't know what a neural network is, but and I'm a tech guy. It's a nice vocabulary word, but what does it really mean, as opposed to any other kind of the way a computer thinks? Okay. So the firms are currently recruiting people who purchased or leased a Model 3 or Model Y and spent money on the stupid software, and it doesn't work. I ordered it for a couple of months and then I turned it off. And you can turn it on and turn it off, for $100 a month. It's still $100 a month. I'll show you. Here's the Tesla app, which you can see right there. I have a software update, which I can download into the car. Let's look at upgrades. You see right here, upgrades, right in the middle of the, what do you call it? Let's go full screen on this so people can see it. There we go. So you see upgrades right in the middle? So I'm going to press on upgrades, and then it says software upgrades. All right, you can get wheels, service plans, I don't know what that is. Software upgrades. So do you want to subscribe to full self-driving at $100 a month? You press add, and it'll start billing you $100 a month. It'll bill you like today. And then the 27th of every month, they'll keep billing you $100 a month unless you turn it off. All right, here, look at buy. So that's one way of doing it, subscribe. Or buy, I can pay $2,000 and they'll open a switch in the car to add a boost in acceleration so that your 0 to 60 is like 3.5 seconds instead of 4.5 seconds. So if you want to go a little faster, you pay $2,000 and it'll go a little faster. They don't have a monthly plan for that. You got to buy it. But you see here, full self-driving capability. Well, you're going to pay $8,000 for something that doesn't work yet? That's not a very smart purchase. And back when my friend paid $6,000 or $8,000 for the full self-driving. They didn't have the word capability in there, and he paid, $6,000 or $8,000 for software, for the last 5 years. Hadn't worked for him. And now Elon is saying, if you have hardware version 3, which means every car, from the year 2021 and earlier, the full self-driving isn't going to work on your car because you don't have the computer capacity to do it, and the video side of it, the cameras don't have enough megapixels, so Elon said he's going to replace, all the hardware version 3 computers for the upgraded computer. But the cameras are all, aren't strong enough either. Doesn't have enough definition in the cameras. So basically, unless you have a car that is 2021 or newer, the software isn't going to work on your car. And so you can see here, we've been driving almost a year and it's 6,344 miles. That's the VIN number there. See the software version 244525. So that's the year 2024, week 45. They've had 25 and a half software improvements in the package that's installed in the car we have. And the version is 2024 dot 45th week dot 25 different upgrades to the software. And now there's another software package that we can download. This is free stuff. It's just improvement stuff to make the car work better. Connect vehicle to the Wi-Fi and download, because there's a new software package ready. And this is 244532 instead of 254525. Yeah. So it takes about 25 minutes for it to, once the software is downloaded into the car, then you press install. It's a touch screen. And then it installs this new software. So all the capability that it had, and it's adding all these other capabilities. But the full self-driving is still supervised. And they're not going to take supervised off of the nomenclature of the software. They used to call it beta. Now it's called supervised. So I'm told that version 13. See, we have version 12, and it's 2024 4525. Yeah. And then there's a hashtag after it. So, Marilyn is now, she's in Okeechobee Boulevard. You see the red arrow there? That's her car. Parked in that parking lot right there. Nose out. She backed into that space. And I don't know what building she's in. There's a fire station there. There's a branch, there's probably a Seacoast branch right there in the corner maybe. Since she's parked there, I don't think they're meeting in the fire station. Let's see if I can go, can I go 3D on this? Whoops, no. It's interesting. So this is a satellite view. I'm gonna, yeah. Anyway, so that's where she's parked. Oh, there's a Seacoast Bank right there. So that's where the meeting is. It's a big branch. We're at Okeechobee Boulevard. Yep. That's where there's a big meeting there. Every month they have a big corporate meeting with the president of the regional bank, and they got 3 or 4 market presidents. See where it says nearby chargers? This tells you exactly where you can get where you can get some electricity. Less than a 5-minute wait time. Less than 5-minute wait time. There's no wait time. But in West Palm Beach, see it says 1 of 8 available. 1 of 8 total available. 10 of 11 are available. Anyway, so that's how convenient the software is in a Tesla. So there's class action suits. This is in Australia. I'm surprised there hasn't been one filed in the United States, because there's a lot of people bought that software and it's not working, and it's still not working, and some of these people paid $6,000-$8,000 4 or 5, 6 years ago, which you would call early adopters. They sold it on the premise that hardware version 3. I remember Elon Musk saying they were coming out with hardware version 3. And that hardware version will have enough capacity to work the full self-driving software that you paid $8,000 for all these years ago. What's the interest on $8,000 over the last 4 or 5 years? Let's just say 5 or 6% interest. Let's say, that's 40. At 6%, 6 times 8 is 48. $8,000 would produce $500 of interest a year. So that's $2,000 or $3,000 worth of interest over the 5 or 6 year period, because they could have invested it in something else instead of having $8,000 invested in the software that still doesn't work today. I mean, it partially works. The state of Texas, the state of Florida hasn't said you're capable of full self-driving, and I can read a book instead of watching the steering wheel and looking through the front windshield. That won't be ready to go until at least June, because that's when the software is going to be loaded into their robocabs. Because there's no driver, there's no steering wheel, there's no pedals. So the only way they can sell those cars is that software has to be working. And apparently it is or will be a working software package effective June, whenever they release the RoboCab. And will that software be released to anybody else that lives in Texas? Supposedly Texas and California will be the 2 places where you can get this software. Yep. And the states have authorized the full self-driving software. And most of the state DOT, Department of Transportations, they'll look at the software, they'll test the software, and they'll basically have guarantees from the company that this will work. And if it doesn't work, they'll make it work. They'll work double time to get it working. Because they have an obligation for their constituents that live in the state of Texas and California to have this work. You're going to pay $25,000 for a robocab. It better be able to take me to the airport. And then the cab should be able to drive itself home and park in the driveway. I mean, that's, even though it's empty. Or you can buy the robocab and have it rented out. You put it in the fleet. And if you put it in the fleet, they'll keep 30% of the revenue and you'll get 70% of the revenue because you own the robocab. Yeah, can you imagine? They don't even have a steering wheel in the car. It's the way Elon describes it, which is, he says, this is not rocket science. It's very complicated software. It's very sophisticated software, and it's using vision. It's using all the optics, the optical cameras all the way around the car. They got 8 cameras, looking at what's next to it, or in front of it, or behind it. Who's coming at it. If a person starts to walk in front of your car, it'll avoid the person. It'll stop or turn or whatever, so that it not going to run people down. You can see the display on that dashboard. So it's really close to being perfected, but it's not yet. As of the filing of this lawsuit, it still doesn't work, according to the standards that are being examined by the company itself, or by the state of Florida, for example. They haven't authorized this software. Well, because the software isn't done yet. Now, I'm going to imagine in June or July, that software is going to be available to, everyone in the state of Florida. It has, these cars are connected to Fremont, California. So when they're ready, they push a button for state of Florida Model Y cars. When they push that button, then a signal goes out to all Model Y cars that are in Florida. And then it gives you a message, just like I showed you, a software message saying, download this software and you're good to go for full self-driving. That day hasn't come yet, but I imagine in June or July it probably will. And the question is, will the RoboCab have configuration, hardware configuration 5? It probably will, because there's a new camera in front of the license tag on the RoboCab, which all the rest of the fleet does not have. So that's a different hardware configuration. So that'd be HW5, hardware 5. We are hardware 4. Now, is there a big difference between the computer that's in my car that I bought a year ago? Is that computer, that much less capable than the computer that's going to be in the RoboCab? That I don't know. But when they start releasing these cabs out into the wild, to the public, there are certain entities that will take it apart, and they'll look at all these components, and they'll see if the hardware that's in the RoboCab, if that's what they finally call it, how different is that hardware compared to the Model Y hardware that I'm riding around with for the last 11 months. Anyway, so in Australia, they're hunting down everybody that they can to get to join the class action. And basically a class action suit, it's got electric, E-L-E-C-T-R-E-K. That's an entity that has, on social networks, that has a magazine that you can subscribe to. It talks all about all kinds of technology products, which of course Tesla is one of those. And Electric's take on this whole story is the guy that does this. There's an editorial staff that writes this stuff. He says, I would expect to see, a lot of these lawsuits popping up against Tesla in the coming months, especially about hardware version 3. And now that Elon admitted that it won't work with hardware version 3, which is a package of hardware that's in the car that the software communicates with, the 7 cameras and, the motors and the brake pedals and everything. So apparently hardware version 3, according to Elon, that it won't be capable of unsupervised self-driving as was promised when they charged people $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 for the software. He said that Tesla would offer retrofits for people who bought the full self-driving package, but that may not be enough, because even though you can upgrade the computer, so you take out the old computer, you put in a new computer, that's labor and so forth. The plugs are probably all the same. So you can upgrade the computer, but they can't take out all the cameras and put in new cameras. That's just not practical. They got wiring harnesses all underneath and around the car that it's probably not feasible to really do that. So the best thing the class action can do in those cases is just give them their money back and give them 6% interest on their money. I'm making up numbers. Or 10% interest on the money, the lost opportunity cost. On top of that, I paid $8,000. I could have bought $8,000 worth of AT&T stock and, made a lot of money. Except, I got $8,000 tied up in this stupid software package that you all have not delivered. Every quarter you say it's next quarter. And you said that several years ago. Now they finally found the guy that I'm talking about. So that's what's up with full self-driving. The lawsuits are starting. Starting in Australia, anyway. Wow. Anyway, so that's right out of here in Flipboard. Interesting. So here's Business on Tech from CNN, anyway. CNN. DOGE, the Department of, Government Efficiency. Heavy DOGE, they call it DOGE. DOGE's heavy-handed approach is not likely to make the government more efficient. Well, they can make it cost a lot less. They're going to shut down the Department of Education. I read a long time ago that when you send money up to a government, and then it trickles down in terms of a an improvement in your life, like this full self-driving thing, or, the Department of Education. Well, so if you send money up in tax revenues, and part of those revenues are in support of the Department of Education. And it's like, let's just say $1,000 a person. Okay? So of the tax dollars that I pay, which we're in a higher tax bracket than average. So we're paying, a reasonable amount of tax. And so important, so, part of that money is going to go to the Department of Education. And they're going to trickle, $600 a pupil into each school around the country. And I've read that about 38% of the money that you send up, and it gets cycles back into the local area because of the money that the Department of Education supplies, their constituents down here in Florida. And they do the same thing for every state, and they provide other goodies, but they also provide some monetary support. Well, Trump wants to eliminate the Department of Education almost in its entirety. And just, if you're going to give $1,000 a student, just do it from the state level. So they can tell you how many students they got. They send a memo up to, whatever entity is going to look after that. And, the money will go from the federal government directly to the state. And it won't require a big department up here with 7 office buildings supposedly full. All right, let's see if I can get this call. Hello?
Jim, this is Dave Turner of United Healthcare.
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good, sir, and yourself.
Okay.
All right. I've seen all your texts and I've been trying to respond as best as I can, and I've sent you some email. I just sent you one probably 15 minutes ago.
Okay.
That shows your proof